I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector Podcast, and we're on location at the New Orleans Investment Conference at the Hilton Riverside in lovely downtown New Orleans, Louisiana. And we have special guests with us today. We have Terry Lynch, the president and CEO of Polymetallic Mines. Welcome, Terry.
Michael, it's been a while.
It has been a while. You know, we were talking off mic before this. We turned the on to record. We haven't actually sat down for a podcast since the SME conference back in New York in the middle part of May, which is really unusual for us.
Yeah.
But
I guess we were supposed to do it in Quebec City. We crossed paths there, but I don't think we got it done. And then, it's been, you're busy. We've been flat out. So,
well, it's as we were saying, you've just been really too busy to talk.
Yeah, it's a combination of being too busy to talk. Also, we were trying to sort of keep our heads down, execute some stuff that was best done on the quiet, really. The land assembly stuff and whatnot. So, but now we're coming out of cloak and lots to talk about, and happy to talk about it.
Perfect. So before we get into that, for people that may not be familiar with Polymetallic, let's give them the quick overview of the company and what you're doing and where you're doing it.
Sure. Our project that we're most well known for is called the Nisk Project, and it's a high-grade polymetallic discovery near Namaska, Quebec. And we basically, last year we were the top-performing junior mining stock on the TSXV. So that was great, primarily because of this high-grade copper precious metals discovery. So, and let's say we have somewhere between 8 to 13 million tons, between sort of 5 to 7% copper equivalent. And that was on over top of a nickel project that we used to call Power Nickel, and we were a nickel company. And then obviously once we had found the copper and the precious metals, we changed the name. But so we have a big nickel deposit as well. So this turned into what's called an orthomagmatic discovery. And those are literally the world's greatest mines, most profitable mines. So think of Voisey's Bay, think of Marinsky's Reef, and of course the grandfather of them all, Risk. So we found one of those, and we're busy trying to prove it up and show how big it is. So that's the nutshell of what Polymetallic is all about.
Wonderful. And so let's talk about all the work that's been done. What do you want to talk? Let's talk about the drill results first.
Okay. So we just put out some releases yesterday or the day before. So, amongst the intercepts, 6 meters of 12% copper and 16.4% or something like that copper equivalent. Crazy grades, right? So that's the type of stuff we're getting in the line zone, which is what makes it so attractive. It shows the line zone is continuing to grow. And then the other thing that we did was we also identified a number of what we've been using borehole EM as our guide in terms of expanding our resource. So we drilled an area just sort of east of the Lion Zone called Tiger, and in an area in between Tiger and Lion. And we drilled 3 exploration holes and had some major sniffs of lenses of lion-like material, like that high grade that we talked about earlier, but not significant meters, but enough to know that they didn't move from very far. And then when we used the downhole EM, we saw the Tiger Deep, which we're currently drilling, that starts around 400 meters. It looks like a lion-like structure down there that we're going to start to zone in on. So, I think we're pretty stoked about that. So we talk about that in our most recent press release, and we lay out a really great video package in there where I have our technical team, Steve Beresford and Joe Campbell. We talk about the land assembly that we did over the summer and our exploration plan over the summer, and then through the fall and winter, which we think will lead to our best work yet. So it's an exciting time to be looking at that particular drill release, and the podcast with it, I think, would really shape people's thoughts on how exciting Polymetallic is at the moment.
Yeah, no, it is. There's just so much to talk about. We seem to bounce around quite a bit, but before we get on to the next topic, just explain to our audience what a bore EM is, because they may not be familiar with that.
Yeah, fair enough. It's basically, it's just a electromagnetic technique. It can be delivered from the air, airborne EM. It can be delivered from the ground EM. It can be delivered downhole, borehole EM. So all are effective and all have various levels of depth coverage. So the air technique probably works to about 200 meters, the ground to about 350, 400, and then the borehole works to 150 radius of your borehole. So when you get deeper, this becomes your guide to as to where, and all it does is it lights up sulfide bodies that are mineralized. Okay, and now you can get false positives. We haven't had them in our particular area, which has been really beneficial. And so when we get a sulfide body that lights up, it's usually one that contains the minerals we're looking for. Now it doesn't always, you don't necessarily get 3 dimensions, you get 2 dimensions, so you don't always hit it on every single hole, but generally about 50% of the holes you're able to hit these things. And so that's very amazing drill technique. If you can get 50% of your holes that are successful, wow. So we've been using that, and so now we've known, with the borehole EM on the Tiger situation, that it looks like we've got a very interesting prospect out there that we're quite earnest about drilling. We sort of speculated it was there before. One of the reasons why we didn't pursue it before is we didn't control all the land. Now that we do, we're hell bent for election, so to speak.
Let's talk about that land acquisition. You've been doing a lot of work up there. You've discovered multiple targets and realized that this is almost like a leviathan, where it keeps spitting out new tentacles and making this monster bigger and bigger and bigger. But you didn't necessarily have the land that you needed to continue to grow the company, and you've been quietly working to acquire that land. And just give us an update.
Yeah. So when we raised the $50 million in February last year, and then obviously cashed up at the right point. And then, after that, that Trump came out with his, duty thing and sort of, freaked the market out for a while, and it sort of moved sideways down, although the precious metals markets had to run. So what's happened is we realized, okay, we're in a bit of a down cycle. What can we do to sort of move the company forward in addition to the drilling? So one of the things what happens in resources when you have a geological theory that works, you go back and say, hey, what worked about this? What geologically worked? What geophysically worked? What geochemically worked? And you sort of say, hey, that's a recipe that worked at least once, and where else is that recipe present? Because obviously where you get those correlations together, there's a good chance it'll work again. And because we know these discoveries tend to be districts. They tend to not be like Norilsk is a district. Okay, there's multiple mines. Marinsky's Reef is a district. It's multiple mines. So we know it's all likely that we're found the first of what will probably be many mines up there. And so we didn't obviously we only had 46 square kilometers, which is a sizable package, but nowhere near the area of interest that we have. So we've acquired now, I think we're up to 313 square kilometers. We've got 6 times our land package, and we love that area. We think we've identified 8 regional targets that have the same recipe as Lion. We now own 7 of them. So in addition to obviously exploring around Lion and on the hydrolands and stuff like that, we're going to be obviously checking these regional targets out. So we're in a, as you say, Leviathan type of situation where we've got a lot of prospects that we're going to be able to drill on, and luckily we have the budget, so we're in good shape.
Yeah, perfect. Now the summer drill program itself is still pretty extensive.
Yep.
We're just now getting some of the results back.
We got 2 sets of results out in the last 5 weeks. One just yesterday, the day before. We'll have another one out in another 3 weeks, and that'll be the summer program. So we had 34 holes, 17,000 meters. So we definitely have shown the Lion resource is growing, and we've answered some key geological questions, give us some more education. And then we're already in the midst of our fall program. So we're already got 5 rigs turning, soon to be a 6th. And, we believe our best drill targets ever are being drilled right now. So, we acquired the key lands that we acquired, I would say were the lift package and the hydrolands, because a lot of it's quite close to Lion. Like the hydrolands were basically lands that we were able to acquire from open staking with the province after the hydro restrictions were removed, because James Bay Cree and ourselves went to hydro and said, hey, there's no longer a need for this. And they eventually agreed, and they removed that restriction, went back to the province. Province put it back in for staking. We got it. So that was key, because we believe the other half of Lion is out there. And that's what I said to the chief of James Bay Cree. I said, hey, chief, if you could help us with this, it would really be powerful. And he did. Great guy. So we were able to get that, and now we're drilling it. So I think this winter we'll be focusing on the hydrolands, the Tiger Deep. And the other thing we had done this summer was he had drilled a hole 64, which was a a research hole that was drilled parallel the structure of Lion, so we could look back with the borehole EM at Lion, and at the bottom of that hole, quite close to the hydrolands and quite close to the lift lands, we hit our biggest EM anomaly ever. So I remember when the boys they're all excited about it. I'm saying, guys, we're not going any further, because if we drill into the mother lode down there, we're going to have to announce it immediately because it's material change. And if we do that, we might not get the hydrolands, we might not get the lift lands. So we're going to, we're in the long game here, not in the short game. So that was so we stopped. We basically said, let's wait. And then now we're drilling it, and we'll see. Now, as I said, we know there's something supercharged down there. We're going to test it. Will we get it with this extension, or will this show us that, hey, we got to be a bit more left, as it took us a couple of shots in land to get it right, and then we hit 50 into the next 16. I expect that'll be the same here, but it's super exciting to know that maybe we're going to find the mother of the platform down there, and this to be nirvana.
Yeah, myself personally, as you know, I'm not a geologist.
Yep.
But I respect those that are, and Stephen Beresford, who works for you, is the expert in this type of mine.
Yeah.
And he's like giddy with anticipation after this hole. And as I say, we said off mic, this hole itself is kind of under the radar, but he is he is like a kid at Christmas with this one.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. It's a very asymmetric bet, right? Doesn't cost us a lot of money to extend it. It's into some serious rich ground. We're gonna win one way or the other. Either we're gonna hit it, which is what we're ultimately wanting to do, or we're gonna be able to get the borehole down there even further in terms of finding and say, hey, it's there, but it's to the left or it's to the right, So you get better intel. So as I said, sometimes it takes us 2 or 3 holes to ultimately find the pay dirt. But, we think the pay dirt is down there to be found. And I think that's what Steve's most excited about, is he believes the pay dirt's down there to be found. I mean, in the history of time with these orthomagmatic deposits, for every ton of copper you find 5 tons of nickel on average. It ranges between 3 to 7 tons of nickel sulfide. On our deposits, about 1.5 copper to 1 nickel, soon to be 2 copper to 1 nickel. So we're finding a lot more copper, but we're going to find a lot more nickel. And this is not going to be, the 1.5% nickel, that we found over historically at Nisk, Maine. This is probably going to be north of 2% nickel, north of 2% copper, north of 2 grams of PGMs, rich. So, and big. So he's excited. We're excited. We're certainly, that's why you love this game.
Absolutely. Now, the fall drill program that's just begun, how big is that drill program?
So it'll probably drill about 25,000 meters or so, somewhere between 20 to 25, by the mid-December. And we're as I said, we're turning 5 rigs now. I believe the plan is to bring the 6th rig in. It may not come in until just after Christmas. I'm not sure the dynamics in that, but the 5 are turning today. So we drill about 70 meters a day per rig is a good rule of thumb. So that gives you an idea of the pace of development.
It takes a while to turn these rigs. Everyone figures this is quick work, but it's not.
No, it's not. And when you think we brought some investors up to the site a couple of weeks ago, and it was amazing. When you see the helicopters dropping off the core, or even the Bushmans bringing it in the back of their super sort of off-road vehicles, and then you got to process it, you got to categorize it, you got to log it, then you got to assay it. The science, it's a marvel that this science exists, that you can find minerals in the earth this deep, and put it all together, make the puzzle work, and then see it all become a mine. So it's pretty exciting to watch it in person. It's pretty amazing to see the moving parts that make it all work.
And the summer drill program is completed drilling wise. The assays are in the labs.
Yeah.
So how much of the assays are out already, and how much is still pending?
Yeah. So we've got about half are done and about half are coming. And I would think that it looks like, we believe the next release will be the final release. Like we'll release them all at that point. And I would think that would happen. My guess, I'm just waiting on them, but like probably just after American Thanksgiving, something like that.
Okay.
Yep.
Just in time for a nice Christmas present for shareholders and
That's what we're
management.
making. Yeah. Let's hope. Or time for the listing in New York, so, so.
Well, that was the last topic of conversation. You guys are working very diligently on an uplisting in the United States. Talk about that. What was the reasoning behind that, and where are you with that?
Yeah, so we've filed all the paperwork, met all the qualifications, had to deliver a PCAOB report, which we did. And basically, it's now in the hands of the New York Stock Exchange officials, and they said they'd get back to us within 3 weeks, about a week ago. So, over the next 2 weeks, we'd expect to hear. And then once we, get you're approved, subject to whatever, then, probably look to be trading with any luck in early December.
Wonderful. Are they going to let you ring the bell?
I hope so. That'd be a thrill. Yeah,
I was part of a package that rang the TSX bell once, and that was quite the thing. I kind of like that.
I've been lucky enough to do that a time or two as well, and it's fun. So to do New York would be something. We'd be excited to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So lots of news coming. I believe you and I are going to be able to do this a little bit more frequently as we'll see each other.
Yeah, we're in the conference season now. Really, between now and April, we'll probably become old friends again.
Well, yeah. Well, it's not like we lost touch with each other. We just you were busy. You were just swamped and running 100 miles an hour. So if people want to continue to follow this story, and it's a story that people need to follow, how would they do so, Terry?
Yeah, the best way is to go to powermetallic.com. There's a registration form there. You can you'll be part of our correspondence series. Get our newsletters. They'll get invited to our quarterly podcast where we, have our geological team and we walk people through what we're doing, why we're doing it, in great detail. They're able to ask questions of myself, of the geological team. I think, those podcasts have been a really big hit. So we're trying to be very accessible to our shareholders, and we try to explain things to them so that they know what we're doing and why we're doing it. So that would be the best, powermetallic.com.
Perfect. And yeah, I would recommend people to listen to that, especially if you've got Stephen with you. Yep. He's very good at making the geology accessible to people that are geologists. So highly recommended. Terry, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure seeing you again. And
thanks.
We'll see each other a few weeks down in London.
Okay. Cheers, mate.
Polymetallic Mines is a paid sponsor of the Prospector News. The host owns shares and warrants in Polymetallic Mines, bought at the market for investment purposes. The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.